Hi, everybody. This is Saad. I just finished a Zoom meeting with one of the organizers of the upcoming 2-day conference at Stanford University on academic freedom. And the other members of the Zoom meeting were my two co panelists. Uh, but I wanted to spend a few minutes just telling you a bit about the conference. And apparently, I found out from one of the co-organizers that there's been quite a bit of concern that such a conference is taking place because it's very, very extremist for academics in the 21st century to be defending uh, the principle of academic freedom. My God, what could be more extremist than that? So I just thought I would spend a minute or two, a couple of minutes, telling you a bit about the upcoming conference. So this is happening at Stanford. Some of the people who will be there, I won't list everybody. You can look for the conference schedule online if you're interested. Jonathan Haidt will be there. Uh, Jerry Coyne, both of whom, by the way, have been guests on my show in the past. Jonathan Haidt is a professor at the New York University Stern School of Business. Jerry Coyne is a professor emeritus. He was a professor of evolutionary biology. And then Peter Thiel will be there. Richard Lowry. I got to know Richard quite well this past May when University of Texas Austin, the Salem Center for Policy at their business school, invited me to give two talks, one on the parasitic mind and another one on my evolutionary psychology work. And so I got to know him there. Uh, a real honey badger, a real defender for all of the, anti-woke values that one can imagine. Dorian Abbott, many of you know that, he had the issue where I think he was going to give a talk at MIT and it was canceled or an award. I can't remember the details. He's also been on my show. Lee Gissom, who's a distinguished professor of psychology, will also be there. He's also been on my show. Who else? We've got Neil Ferguson, who's a Hoover Institution fellow. Both he and his wife, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, came on my show this past May. So real extremists. Who else? So there's yours truly speaking, a whole bunch of other people. Bjorn Lomborg. Now, some people consider that guy very divisive because he's not a climate alarmist. He'll be there. Jay Bhattacharya, who is part of I think it was the Balfour Declaration, sort of a more reasoned approach to the COVID policies. There, John Ioannidis, who's also a professor of medicine at Stanford. Douglas Murray is going to be there. Greg Lukianoff, who is the president and CEO of FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. He's also been on my show in the past. I mentioned this because it's a real networking opportunity of people who have all been in their own way trying to push back against a lot of the what I call idea pathogens in the parasitic mind. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for us to meet up in this one venue. Other people who are going to be there, Scott Atlas, who is a radiologist by training. He was on Donald Trump's, I think, COVID advisory team. He's a radiologist, I think, by training, and he is a fellow at the Hoover Institution. Steven Pinker will be there. Oh, my goodness, Steven Pinker, that right-wing Trump-loving nut. Ilya Shapiro, some of you remember his story whereby he was going to be canceled at Georgetown. They were trying to set up a center that would be, less partisan, and for a poorly written tweet that he had posted, he got into all sorts of hot water, and then he ended up, to his credit, deciding not to take up the new job at Georgetown. Who else? A whole bunch of other people. Frances Widdleston, who was recently a guest on my show. She got into trouble because she questioned all of the indigenization efforts that are happening at Canadian universities. Amy Wax, who's also been on my show, will also be there. So all of these people, to the extent that they are triggering some hysteria amongst the blue-haired Taliban, it's because they are instrumental in pushing back against the parasitic rapture that many, if not all, universities are currently under. And so imagine having this kind of lineup. By the way, these are hardly right-wingers. These are hardly all Trump supporters. They really, represent political diversity across the political spectrum. And yet there are all sorts of folks who are very, very hot and bothered that such a conference would take place. So there you have it. Wish me luck as I enter the Viper's nest next week. But I should say, though, this is my third Stanford event. In 2017, I had been invited by the Graduate School of Business at Stanford to speak about my evolutionary psychology work and nomological networks of cumulative evidence and so on. And then more recently, I was invited remotely at the time because it's the whole COVID thing to speak at the Stanford Classical Liberalism series, and now this conference. So we might make fun of the Bay Area as being sort of woke central, but certainly Stanford is allowing extremists such as yours truly to, speak at various of their forums. So I think it's going to be a great event. I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting a lot of old friends and a lot of honey badgers who are really trying to push back in their own ways against all of the lunacy, recapture the commitment to freedom of speech, freedom of inquiry, freedom of conscience, academic freedom, all of those really extremist ideas. There you have it, folks. Have a great weekend, everybody. And pray for Dr. Good Looks. Hopefully the conference will go well. Cheers, everybody.